Everyone's heard of the 80-20 rule. If not, then this must be the rock that you've been living under for the past 30 years. In trading, the 80-20 rule also applies. The most common advice you'll see online is that in-sample uses 80% of your data and out-of-sample uses 20% of your data. Hi traders, if we haven't met, I'm Lisa, a data scientist turned algorithmic trader, and I made this mistake when I first started trading as well. So today we're going to rank the different ratios of in-sample and out-of-sample data. First, what is in-sample? Basically, this is the amount of data you use when you're developing your strategy, and out-of-sample data is the amount of data you use to test that your strategy still works after the development process. Let's pretend you've got 10 years of historical data. Since today is 2025, let's say you use the past 10 years from 2015 to today to develop your strategy. So this is the absolute worst way to develop a strategy. The likelihood that you've over-optimized is super high, and the probability that it will be profitable when you use this strategy on a live account is super low. This is 100% in sample and is colored in red, and that belongs in the F tier, the worst, crappiest place to be. Even worse than using this rock as a home. Next, we've got the 80-20 rule, where 80% of the data is used to develop your strategies. So for our example, 8 years from 2015 and excluding the past 2 years to verify that our strategy works. And this, although common knowledge, is also not a good way to develop strategies, because most of this bar is red with a tiny bit of green on the end and also belongs low in the tier list here at D tier. It is better than using 100% of your data for strategy development though. By the way, if you're already a profitable trader and are looking at making some extra money, then you might want to check out trading.com. So they provide a system for profitable traders to become hedge fund traders. From as little as $1,000, you can trade with $10,000 and start the process to qualify yourself and proving yourself worthy of managing hedge fund capital. And unlike prop firms who want you to fail, trading.com is different. They want you to succeed. That's why they don't put in a million rules. There's just 2 rules. The max drawdown is 10% and the profit target is 20%. And when you reach the profit target, you qualify for the next stage. Pass all 5 stages, and that's where you could get access to hedge fund capital. So from $1,000, your total payouts just for the qualification process could be $40K. And then when you're trading hedge fund capital, who knows? Thanks trading.com for sponsoring this video. Let's jump now to 50-50. Half is being used for strategy development and half is being used for verification. So this is getting better. Half red and half green. So this goes into the C tier. But now we're only using really old data for strategy development and new data for verification. And this makes it a bit harder for us to adapt our strategy to the latest market conditions. So a variation of this, which isn't available in all tools, but it is available in a tool called Strategy Quant, which I use to develop my strategies without needing to code it manually. And check out this screen here. This looks like a zebra pattern. So this is still 50% in sample and 50% out of sample, but the data is actually split into 20 tiny pieces. It alternates between in sample and out of sample data. And if you add them all up, it still takes up half. But because we're taking smaller chunks of data with some older data, some new data for both our in-sample and out-of-sample, this is better than just straight 50-50. So this goes here into B tier. Can you guess what comes next? You've seen a less and less red, which is the in-sample part of our data. So the less red we have in our testing process, the better. So in A tier, now we have the opposite of the 80-20 rule. We've flipped it. So now our in-sample is 20% of our data and our out-of-sample is now 80% of data. And this tiny change made such a huge difference in my strategy development process, using small amounts of data for strategy development and large amounts of data for verification and testing. Now we're at A tier, which is pretty good. But we still have one more tier at the top, the God S tier. Here we're going to have all out of sample, 100%. Oh, Mr. Rock here says that's not possible. And you're right. We can achieve 100% out of sample if we switch to using something called walk forward optimization. And walk forward optimization is a technique where you split your data into bits, use some for optimization, and then retest them on unseen data. So if we use the past 10 years as an example, first we use the 2 years beforehand to optimize our strategy. Then we trade it for 1 year using the settings from our optimization. And this gives us a bar that consists of some red and some green. 2013 and 2014 will be red and 2015 will be green. And then we move everything by a year and repeat the exact same process. Now 2014 and 2015 will be data we use for optimization, and 2016 will be our out of sample. And we'll repeat the process again and again, shifting our data by a year every single time. So our final picture will look like this, an overlapping staircase of red and green bits. If you take all the green bits and stick them together, you will get 100% out of sample, which is the best you can get in this tier list. Now we've covered 2 different robustness techniques to reduce the probability of our strategies being overfit and failing in live trading conditions. So if you want to learn about the other robustness techniques, then Mr. Rock here says you should watch this video right here. Thanks for watching. See ya.